One is the loneliest number that you ever seen. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number except for number one, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just counting how many subscribers I have. Just kidding. Let's do this show, eh? Laughing with cancer. Let's live a life, not just survive. Laughing with cancer. If you're not laughing, life will pass you by. Hola, and welcome to Laughing with Cancer. I'm your host, Elvis Rico, and once again, it is show number 14. I guess not once again. This would be the first time. So, it's show number 14. Anyways, on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about depression, PTSD, stress, that kind of stuff. And, my son's been co-hosting with me the last couple of shows. And you guys seem to like that. So he's going to be on the show with me today. We're going to talk a little bit about his journey through the military. And he was overseas in Iraq and stuff like that. And came home with a little PTSD himself and some other issues. But we're going to kind of talk to him a little bit about all that. So, yes, welcome to show number 14. Hey, I want to remind you guys to go to my website. It's laughingwithcancerpodcast.com. Make sure you leave a comment and a little review or something. Let me know if you really like the show or if I'm just talking out the side of my neck, as they would say. So, anyways, let's say I also want to remind you to go to iTunes. Go to iTunes. Give me a review. Give me a 5-star rating. I mean, you can give me lower than 5-star. But let's just face it. I need a 5-star rating, right? Right. I also want to I also want to remind you to go to podcastland.com. Give me a vote. Let's make it podcast of the month. So, with that said, I want to thank my co-host here, Erik Gunner Baisley.
Hola.
Who can't help it but drink something while he's sitting here.
Yeah.
At least I moved all the stuff out of the way, if you notice, so you're not...
I don't have anything to spin or tinker with.
And make noises while we're trying to do...
He's going on full control now. Trying to run me out. He's like, I want to see you spin a pen whenever you don't have one there, sucker.
Yeah, that's right. So, like I said earlier, a little while ago, we're gonna talk a little bit about PTSD and depression and stress and anxiety and that kind of stuff that comes along with. I mean, of course, with cancer and any kind of other illness, chronic illness, you will have the stress and the anxiety, and not necessarily the PTSD, but that's more of what you went through over in Iraq. And we were going to talk a little bit about you being in the military and stuff like that, if you don't mind. You don't mind talking about that, do you?
No, not too much. It's not too bad.
Okay.
Say something.
So let's start off by exactly what part of the military were you in and that.
Well, I was in the infantry. Blue's my color. We got blue cords when we graduate. I went to basic at Fort Benning, Georgia, where I graduated there, and then I went on to an infantry unit. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I went over to Iraq, participated there. I was a rabbit truck gunner.
What exactly is a rabbit truck gunner for those who aren't in the military? I didn't know what a rabbit truck gunner. I knew you were a gunner, which worried me every day you were gone, because I know what a gunner is, and he's the one they're all aiming at. You know?
You're the one guy on top of the truck. Yeah, a gunner's a hell of a job to begin with. You're the one guy on top of the truck outside of the armor to begin with. So, I mean, it really puts emphasis on everything that you think or would do, in a way could either allow you to live or allow you to die. And then on top of being a gunner, I was a rabbit truck gunner, which is kind of slang for the front truck. They've got a convoy of trucks that drive down the road or whatever whenever we're transporting any, detainees or whatever we're doing. And your truck is basically out in front. You got a little bit of a lead on the rest of the convoy. So if there does happen to be a bomb or like a pressure bomb or something like that, or some kind of IED, the whole object is that your truck gets hit. Or, if there's a pressure plate IED or something like that, you roll over it and your truck takes the hit. Or if there's an ambush waiting, your truck takes the hit.
So you were specifically the truck that took the damage if there was any damage to be taken.
Well, yeah, if there's like a pressure plate IED or, the first person on the road or you're basically, as being a gunner, your job is basically to make sure everybody gets back okay. You got to stay vigilant and you got to, keep your eyes on the road. You always have to be spotting. You have to try to spot IEDs if they can be seen or, with thermal scopes or anything possible, if there's wires going into a wall or something like that, you know what I mean? Your job is to halt the convoy to make sure everything's okay for everybody to go through. If you see something fishy, like if you see a whole bunch of guys with AK-47s or you see somebody waiting around the corner looking like they're going to, attack the convoy, you know what I mean? You want to prepare everybody and you're basically the eyes of the convoy and that's what you do.
So whenever you first, I remember whenever you first said you were going over into the military and stuff, you were supposed to be signing up with your buddy Brandon.
Yeah.
And
that jerk off.
Didn't he, what happened with that? Brandon didn't end up going as far as I know.
I scored pretty up there on the ASVAB.
What's an ASVAB?
The ASVAB is the military aptitude test that they give you to determine what kind of jobs, you'd be capable of doing, mentally. So I scored pretty up there. You know what I mean? There's only 4 jobs in the entire military that I wouldn't qualify for with my aptitude test. And then Brandon, the guys who the whole idea was, to join the military and get the hell out of there was, he threw the test away basically. He scored like a 14. He tried to, he just basically, answered all the questions wrong. I know he's a smart guy, so I knew.
He did it on purpose.
He did it on purpose because he didn't want to go,
But it was his idea for you guys to sign up.
Got lots of love for Brandon, man, but I know, you know what I mean? There ain't no, but you know what I mean? You got to be like pretty damn dumb. Well, I don't want to, make anybody upset or anything, but you know what I mean? There's a couple rocks missing. It's kind of hard to score that low,
unless you purposely do it.
Unless you purposely do it. I mean, what'd you do? Not put your name on the test or something? You know what I mean?
That's 5 points right there.
Yeah. That's probably like 50 points right there or something.
He spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, it's not like your traditional test. It's a test. It takes a lot of different things and puts it into perspective. It doesn't just test like, your book smarts. It tests like, whether you know how to use like certain tools mechanically or if you can understand how certain things work. It's not like a written test where you go in there and you're like, 1 + 1 is 2 and blah 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 blah. It's judging you all the way around in every aspect to see what jobs you'd be capable of doing. With what you already know and, how your brain works.
And so you scored pretty high on that.
Yeah, I scored pretty high. I got some really high line scores, and I mean I could have did anything, but my stupid self, I signed up for guns and shooting things and camping, and I signed up for the thing that they told me sounded cool. I should have went for something else. I should have went into the medical field or something I could have used whenever I got out of the military, but.
But did you want to join the Army first, or were you specifically thinking of like maybe the Air Force or the Marines or?
Well, I just, ever since I seen 9/11 happen, I was always like, I'm going to Iraq. I'm going to go over there. And that was kind of the main reason I wanted to be. That and Black Hawk Down, man. That movie made me want to be a soldier. So,
But once you got over there, through the boot camp, is the boot camp as hard as they say? Is boot camp?
It's not a cakewalk. Boot camp kind of it'll beat you down pretty bad. It's not something that you can't do. It's just something that you wouldn't want to really do. You don't really want people in your face screaming at you, breaking you down to, basically dirt, level. And, the physical activities that you go through, and it's just, it's mentally and physically hard to do. It's not, nobody that you ever talk to is going to tell you that it was an easy gig. If they do tell you it was an easy gig, they're lying. They're lying out their butt, man. Because
now, are all of them pretty much the same?
No, they're not. Well, it just depends. Every soldier goes, every, I guess, Army guy goes through, what is it? Like 12-week boot camp or whatever. And, it's pretty much 3 phases or whatever. You break it down, and they go through a hard phase, which is the beginning, where you're getting pretty much screamed at every 2 seconds about everything, and you're basically doing, push-ups and flutter kicks and all these, different workouts, like for hours and hours and hours on end, getting woke up in the middle of the night, freaking, you're just always tired, and you're getting beat down to the point where, you're getting beat down to your breaking point. And I believe they call that I can't remember, it's been a little while. I can't remember all the different phase names and all that, but they go into that. And each phase is like, it's like 3 or 4 weeks long. And then you go into your next phase where, it's a little bit more technical, and you're learning a little bit more along those lines. You're still getting your face beat in, but not as bad as you were, the first phase that you're going through. And then you go through the final phase, which is...
How many guys are usually in... Like when you start the boot camp, how many guys start usually, and how many guys finish?
They separate you by company, so they have the military alphabet or whatever, and you'll start off in a barracks, and they've got Alpha Company, Echo Company, Bravo Company, Charlie Company, and you guys are all starting at different dates and going through the training process. I was in Bravo 150 up in Fort Benning, Sand Hill or whatever, and a company is basically 4 platoons, and we start off, each platoon's, roughly about 30 guys or more. It just kind of depends. And, and each one of those breaks down into 4 squads. And, those are basically your teams. So,
do a lot of them just quit?
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that just quit. They just break down. But see, the thing with boot camp was you want to quit really, really bad. You don't like it. You don't like getting yelled at. You don't like doing all this crap and everything. You know what I mean? You don't like what they're putting you through every day. But if you quit, you get to sit there for the entire time that you would have spent doing all this crazy crap, and you get to stare at a brick wall for the rest of the time. You're going to be there the same amount of time either way, whether you quit or whether you go. It just... Either you're going to be staring at a brick wall every single day until you're done, or you're going to be out, doing something. And the beginning parts of it, because you're not in shape, you're not ready for it. But the beginning parts, you know what I mean? It sucks. It's horrible. You're beating your body into shape, and you know what I mean? You're getting torn down from every angle. But by the time it's all said and done, at the end, man, it becomes fun. Like, it really does. Like, you're sitting there, and your sergeant tells you to give him 200 push-ups, and you're like, all right, whatever. You drop down, and you're like, give me more, give me more, give me more, You end up getting that kind of attitude. Like, it doesn't matter how much they stack on you or how hard they make how hard it is physically or whatever. You know what I mean? They build you up to that point where it doesn't matter. You're just like, give me more. I don't care. I'll get down. I'll give you 200. I'll give you 300. I'll give you 400 push-ups. It doesn't matter. I'll do whatever. You want me to run freaking 5, 6, 7 miles as fast as I can? I'll do it. I don't care. You know what I mean? You want me to climb that wall? You want me to climb that wall up 100 and something feet? All right, climb a rope, whatever. You know what I mean? You want me to go walk across or crawl across a rope line? That was my favorite thing, by the way. They have like a single rope that goes across, and you're on top of it, and you're pulling yourself across it, and you're like way the hell up in the air. That was my favorite thing to do. But you know what I mean? It just shows you what you can do physically. Like things that you never thought you could do. Like, you know, if you're scared of heights or you're scared of this or that, you know what I mean? It beats that out of you. Like,
but you were glad it was over when it was over. It wasn't like, oh, bummer, boot camp's over.
No, it kind of was a bummer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you guys build such a camaraderie there, and you know what I mean? It really is fun. I mean, of course you want to go home. You know, I mean, I guess if I had like a girlfriend or something, I had one when I left, but you know,
yeah, we
lasted
know
like a couple weeks.
That caused problems.
You know what I mean? But you know, it really is. It's like camaraderie, and it becomes life for you. It becomes like what you are, and it's pretty awesome, man. Like even the graduation process was like it's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like it was one of the greatest things, like accomplishments I've ever got. You know how you go through school and you get honors and stuff like that, and they call you up in front of the class, and they're like, "Oh, here's your little certificate," and blah 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 blah. Or when you graduate school, and they give you a diploma. Yeah, that's all cool and everything, but whenever you get through, you know, rucking like 30-something miles with like 70 pounds on your back, and every guy there, you know, and you guys are just beat down, you haven't slept or anything like that, and
you just want to quit.
Yeah, well, halfway through you want to quit. By the time it's done, you're just like another mile. But now, you know, marching up to Honor Hill for the infantry training, man, that was like one of the best times of my life. Like they took all the different companies that were around us in our barracks area, and they put blue. They have these little blue lenses that they can put over their flashlights, and they put up blue lenses on their flashlights and line the whole road up to Honor Hill, which is where you graduate at, and they walk you through these big old cast iron gates up onto this hill with this big wooden, like platform or whatever, and it shows you all the different things that the infantry's done. And you sit there and they go through, and each one of the drill sergeants says his piece on, you know, what part of the infantry did this part in this war, and, you know, all the way up into your present. And then your honor soldier, whoever the main guy they picked out was, goes up and says his little speech for you guys today.
Kind of like the valedictorian of the high school.
Yeah, the valedictorian of the high school, you know, the valedictorian of the company or whatever. And, you basically, you know, you get a cross rifles punched into your chest, and
literally punched into your chest.
Yeah, they've got like these little cross rifles or whatever, and you know the little pens or whatever you stick in your suit.
Yeah,
they put one of those on your collarbone right there, and
they punch
that sucker in
with no backing, just right into the skin.
Yep, no backing, just right into the skin.
So whenever you
welcome to the infantry.
So when you were done with boot camp, were you excited, ready to go to Iraq? You're like, let's go, let's do this, or?
Yeah, I was excited, but you know, whenever I got back, you know, you find out that there's a wait, a little bit of a wait, anyways. But you know that
between
was pretty cool.
Boot camp and going, is that what you mean? What are you talking about?
Between boot camp and going to Iraq, you get back to your unit and you know you integrate into it, and basically, you know what I mean. You're just doing everyday things that you need to until you know you're ready to go.
Did you know you were going?
Once your unit gets called up. Yeah, you know in advance. Your unit knows when they're going to go, you know, and then you just start your training up process, and then you're overseas before you know it.
So what was it like in Iraq? I mean, being there, once you got there. Well,
there was a McDonald's in Kuwait.
Do you trust we don't even trust the meat here in the United States. Did you?
I don't know if it was Camel or whatever. It was still a Mickey D's burger. You know, it tastes a little funny, but it was cool. I mean, you get sick of shit after you eat it. You spend a couple hours in the bathroom, but man, it's the best thing you ate all day, especially if you compare it to like MREs or something. Nah, but it was crazy. It was surreal. Whenever I got to Kuwait, we stayed in some tents, and I was just sitting there. You know, we were just waiting to go to Iraq, and everybody's kind of nervous, and everybody's kind of wound up, kind of scared, kind of ready. You know,
excited and scared at the same time.
Yeah, you're excited and you're scared because you don't know what to expect. You don't know, you know, what it's going to be like. You know, all you hear is what's on the news, and you know that's, you know. So you get that like get there anxiety. Now,
did you know you were a gunner? Did you start off like they said, okay, Baisley, you're a gunner.
Whenever we did train ups, I'd been in the gunner position. You know what I mean? And I think a part of the reason why I ended up being a gunner overseas was because whenever we were doing our or like train ups to the villages and stuff, I'd gotten stuck in a gunner position or whatever, and whenever we were doing the training, I did really, really well at it. You know what I mean? I wasn't afraid to shoot whenever I felt like something was, awry. We're doing test runs basically, attacking fake villages or whatever, and I wouldn't be afraid to shoot at something that I thought was wrong. If somebody's pointing a gun at one of my other gunners, or I wasn't afraid to to let it loose and just say, hey, no, that's not right. Goodbye. And that's, I think that's one of the reasons why I ended up being a gunner. I ended up being a rabbit truck gunner because our rabbit truck gunner ended up, I can't remember exactly what happened to him. I think he got sick or something. And, they put me up front. And for some reason, I was just really vigilant, and I always paid attention. I always was looking off in the distance, and I could see things that most people normally wouldn't see. You know what I mean? So it made the guys in the convoy feel a lot safer. So they kept me up there, which I really didn't want to be a rabbit truck gunner. I really didn't want any of it, but no. I didn't want to be a gunner at all. But
how long were you there? You were there for
a year.
A year. At what point did it take very long before you were like, okay, I'm done. I would really like to go home now? You said, because you said at first you're excited to be there, excited and scared, but yet.
I think, I don't think there was ever really a point where I was just like, I'm done, I think it was just more or less, it was just something I had to do. There's nothing I could really say or do, and until my time was up and somebody came to replace me at my post or whatever I was at, I was stuck there. It was just life. It was just what's going to happen, and it didn't matter what I really felt about it. It was just going to be that way, until it was my time to go home.
But I remember you've told me that you would wake up every day worried or wondering. I don't know if worried, it wasn't a fact of like me wanting to, particularly go home. It was just a fact of not knowing every day. You never know what's going to happen. Every mission's different. Everything you do, you know what I mean? You hear, you're the second part of your company or whatever, somebody, got killed or something, and it just, that thing right there is going to really, it really starts to mess with your mentality. And then if, it comes into your platoon stuff, that, I guess those would be the times when you're kind of done. Is it waking up every morning wondering if it was your day?
It's just waking up every morning, wondering if it's your day. And then, you got to go to the process of saying, pardon my language.
I'm going to have to bleep that out.
It's all right. It's saying screw it. If today's my day, if my number's called, it is what it is. If I don't go home, it was meant. It's kind of adopting the attitude. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If I get shot today or if I get blown up today, my number gets called. Now
is that the mentality a lot of you guys had?
I think that's the only mentality there really is to it. If you've got to adopt that, because you can't tell when your number's going to be the one called. You don't know when you're going to die. You can't choose when you're going to die. You can, you know what I mean? You can only try to make the best of the situation you're in and hope to God that whatever comes your way, if there's any difference that you can make, that you make it.
Now, what do you think the PTSD, because you were diagnosed with PTSD when you got back. So what do you think that's all from? Is it from actual being in firefights? It's
mainly from, I don't really want to get into that stuff, but it's mainly just repeated traumas. When people get PTSD back here in the States, like you get in a car wreck or something like that, it's like, okay, I got in a car wreck, and a lot of people, they can get past that eventually. What makes it chronic with younger guys is we're young guys, and, we go out every single day, and it's this, and it's, this thing happens here. And then, you know what I mean, you're scared for your life every single day you go out. Every time you go out the gate, you're thinking you're going to die. Somebody's going to shoot you in the back. Somebody's going to pick you off from a hill in the corner. and you just keep going out, and you keep, you know what I mean? And you keep going out, and then more stuff happens, and you keep going out, and you keep going out, and you keep going out, and it all builds up to a point to where it's just how your brain functions, you know? You can't go places like you used to anymore. You know, when you go places, it's hard to let your guard down. It's hard to trust the people around you. Like everybody that you see, you know, you don't trust them. You look at them and you're looking at people like, instead of saying, oh, this is a nice guy, it's nice to meet him, you're thinking about like, you know, if he tried to hurt me, or like if something, you know what I mean, does he have a weapon if he tried to hurt me? You know, what am I going to do in this situation? Or, you know, I don't, you know, it makes you avoid a lot of things, and it makes you, it like all of this built up over time, it hurts, man. Like it makes you think a certain way instead of it. And that's more what PTSD for soldiers is, you know. It's more of, you know, they can't get comfortable, like truly comfortable anywhere but, you know, in a place of their own. That's why a lot of us, you know, we confine ourselves to our rooms and we don't go out too much. Or, you know, if we do go out, we'll go out sometimes with a lot of people that we know, you know, or we have to like drink a ton to, you know, to get relaxed in a certain situation, you know. It's just like that. It's more, it's, you know, imagine that you're like at you know, normally every day you're at a level, like you're on a table, you're walking across the table. Instead of being walking across the table, you're about, you know, 10 inches higher all the time. Like that's just the way that you are. And it gets to the point where it's normal. You're always like
on
that.
alert all the time. So to speak, just wondering.
Yeah.
Scenarios going through your mind. And wondering
it's
what's
just
going on.
scenarios. Like you don't see people the same way. You don't see things the same way. You know what I mean? It's, you see everything as something that can hurt you, or, you know, something that you need to be prepared to go against. You know what I mean? When you go to the grocery store, you know what I mean? You're thinking about, you know, what, you know, if somebody tries to kill me here, what am I going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing behind it. That's what really gets to you. Because, I mean, living up here at that level all the time, instead of down where you should be normally, it wears you out, and it you know what I mean? Eventually it just snaps and it breaks, you know, and you feel like there's something wrong with you. There's, you know, you feel like there's like a wall you can't get past, you know what I mean? You're always going to be this way, and you're always going to feel this way. You remember what you used to be like back when you were, you know, before you were in the military, and before you were like you are now, but you're always at that level, and
it stays at a constant.
And it stays that way. And then, you know, to top it all off worse, there's like certain things that set off other things that even put you up over the top, you know, and it's just, it's a hard thing to live with. And, you know, I'm going to the VA. I started or whatever, getting treated or whatever. So I'm
talking with other veterans. Well,
not necessarily. I'm not ready to, you know, really go out there and like talk with people or counselors and stuff like that. I'll tell them what they need, you know, what they need to know, and that's pretty much where I keep it. I mean, I think I talk more with you about stuff that's happened to me than, you know, you and Steve, my little brother. You know, I talk with you guys more about stuff. You guys are pretty much the only people I talk to. You know, you, Steve, Mom. Yeah. You guys are you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's just because I trust you guys or what it is, but I mean, nobody really knows too much about that, you know?
So when you were over in Iraq, I know you worked with a lot of Navy SEALs. Did you learn a lot from the Navy SEALs? Or were they kind of their own thing, and they didn't mess with you guys didn't mess with them, kind of thing?
Well, that was mainly part of it, you know what I mean? We got a chance to hang out with them in the gyms and stuff. You know, they'll make you feel like puppy dogs, man. You know, and I don't know if for OPSEC or anything I can really go into that kind of stuff too much, but I ran detainees pretty much for them. That was my job for 9 months out of the year, and you know, I was, you know, pretty much stationed up with them in a certain area. And, you know, got to hang out with them a lot, and I got to learn a few things from them. I got to learn, you know, quite a bit. I got one that used to mess around with me a lot. He choked me out a few times.
You've told me this story before. You said that he caught you off guard. You're dozing off or something like that.
Yeah,
one time.
And he proceeded. I mean, like it wasn't like he was like somebody I hated or anything like that. It was just he liked to jack with me. He would choke me out and shit in random places at random times.
Just choke you out. Just like put you to sleep.
Yeah, just put me to sleep.
With whatever, a string,
well, yeah, whatever,
his arm,
whatever he had at the time, his arm, whatever. And it kind of just fucked up. But he got me to drop my chin, every time I heard anything remotely making a sound behind me. But yeah, it was fun, man. They had some really cool guys, dude. And I remember the first time in the chow hall with them, where we eat or whatever. I remember walking there and I felt like I was a puppy dog in the lion's den. Like, no crap, I just see all these guys and they're all in tip top shape and they're just, you know what I mean? It's just, you can tell, you can see when you see somebody, you just, you understand that those guys are meant for business. You know what I mean? They've trained harder than anybody else. They're insanely good at their job. They're crazy, man.
No.
And, not crazy in a bad way. They're normal guys, you know what I mean? They're regular guys. They're just, they're on another level than most soldiers. And that's to be expected. I mean, the way that they're trained and the way that they do things and the missions that they get, make our mission, make my missions look like little kid crap, but,
Didn't at one point they wanted you to do Navy SEAL stuff or join the?
Yeah, back in boot, I did really, really well back in boot. I was a PT stud or physical training or whatever stud or whatever. Whenever we do PT tests and stuff like that, and I just did really, really well with everything that we were learning in the military. And they had one SF special forces guy that was a drill sergeant there, and he kind of was nudging at me to get into the SF training, but I found out that it was like a 2-year-long process or more or something like that, and it's just basically getting your brains beat in for a couple of years. Like,
so 2 years
in
of
every
boot
way
camp.
possible. Like 2 years worse than boot camp.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like insane, and that and. I was looking at Ranger School too, but I just, in the end, I decided that, infantry was what I wanted to do. To be completely honest with you, I kind of pussed out on it. I just didn't want to do any more of the kind of training that they had in mind.
Some crazy training.
I just, you know what I mean?
Was crazy.
There's, I guess you got to choose a level of where you want to be at, what you truly want to do. And, I didn't want to go up to that level. It just wasn't something that I really truly wanted to do. I didn't want to, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be a special forces guy. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be a ranger. It's cool to have that tab, to be that guy, to do that, but it just wasn't me.
I think I would have been even more worried about you.
You probably would have. I probably might not have made it back because I'm dumb like that. I'll go get shot or something.
Yeah, being a gunner, I was, like I said earlier, I was always worried about you, wondering if you were okay that day, and every day I worried about it. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad that you did come home safely. But when you finally came home, you were only there for a year, right? Was your time up, or?
Yeah, I was there for a year. I got hurt, or whatever. We got one of our trucks out that I was in, my truck. We got hit by a 18-wheeler coming out of one of the gates. Like, we were coming out of one of the gates, getting onto one of the major routes, and we ended up getting tagged by a 18-wheeler. So, that was pretty much it. And then I came back, and my unit just kind of helped me get out, pretty much.
So do you feel that the PTSD along with that brings anxiety, stress, depression, the regular things that they say? Do you feel that it does at times, or do you have it controlled?
I found certain little ways to cope with things. Sometimes, keeping my mind busy and doing something and getting, just always having something to do helps out a lot. But it's not something that can really be completely controlled. It's hard, especially whenever you've got other stressors in your life. Like what it is it's like anxiety, right? So it's an anxiety based whatever, you know what I mean? It's something's caused, some kind of action in your life has caused this reaction based from your mind. And, it's hard to get around that. It's just, you get, yeah.
Well, I know.
You find ways to cope with it, in certain areas, and then there's just some things that you can't do. And then whenever you've got everything else breaking, like say you can go for a while. It's weird, man. Like you can go for a while and you can be completely fine. Most of the time whenever you got a job and everything's going great and, you don't have time to worry about anything. You're just working and you're just going and you just keep going and you just keep going and keep going. Everything seems fine. And then it's when something hits home or, something happens or something reminds you of something and then it just all comes crashing back down on you.
Well, I know you play the guitar and you play the piano, and I know that that's one of your stress relievers, one of the things that you use to keep your mind off of it. And you've learned to play the piano in just a couple of months, which is awesome because I hear you playing it and you're getting very good. And of course, I hear you playing the guitar and you're good at that. So that's one of your things.
Yeah, I think that's basically where I've put most of my. That's where I put most of my
energy.
That I put most of my time. And I mean, like when you're playing an instrument, you can't think of anything else. You know what I mean? There's nothing else in your head other than what notes you're trying to hit or what you're trying to learn with it. It takes some concentration. It takes some.
And I know that you read a lot.
Yeah,
you don't sleep. You have a hard time sleeping. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I never sleep. Well, you know what I mean. I go through a lot of phases. Like sometimes I have bad dreams, and sometimes I'm just so freaking wound up. You know what I mean? Like I'm wound up all the time. Like I never feel like completely relaxed, and it really kills my sleep, man. It really tears it down. Like I'll sit up there and I'll sit up there and I'll just read something all night long, or I'll sit there and just try to find something, keep me busy. Cause I could sit there and I can lay down and, if I'm not doing something, it's worse because then I'll start thinking about all kinds of crap. And then, and then it makes it even worse, even if I do fall asleep, cause then I'll have problems with that. So I mainly just, I go until I crash, and it's kind of been the norm for me for, at least the last 3 or 4 years. So I just go until I crash.
Now, do you talk to other friends that are still from your platoon back in Iraq? Or
I talked to my buddy Dag. That's the only one I've really kept contact with. He's one of my guys, man. He was up in the truck with me the last 3 months I was there. He wasn't with me the first 9 months I was there. So, he basically became my best friend, like out of everybody I've ever met in my entire life. So he's an awesome dude, man.
But you guys keep in contact. Does that help you to, like, when you're feeling depressed or feeling out of sorts, I guess you would say? Does it feel better to talk to him or to talk to somebody like that?
I don't really,
or do you guys not talk?
I don't really talk
like that.
I don't really talk to anybody, about that kind of stuff. And like, we don't, you know what I mean? We just keep contact with each other, and we'll
just see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on with each other's lives. And like, sometimes we'll talk about different stuff like that, like missing like some of the times that we've had out there, and because you guys get really close, man. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to rely on each other.
Yeah, you spend so much time, and that guy's got your back, you got his back. You know what I mean? And ultimately, you guys are pretty much prepared to take a bullet for each other if it comes down to it. I mean, you really get that mentality, with these guys, and Dag was one of those guys, you know what I mean? Like if something happened or something was going down, and someone was gonna hurt him, I would probably take, I would take the bullet for him, as I'm sure he would have done for me. And we both had wives, you know what I mean, and everything back home, and I had daughters, so I mean, it was just one of them things, we had that kind of connection, man. I helped him cut his birthday cake when we were out there. Yeah,
well, I'm glad you guys made it back safe, and like I said, I'm proud of you, and I'm definitely glad you made it home safe, and I'm proud of you for serving our country, of course, which you get that from a lot of people these days. A lot of people find out you're in the military and they thank you for serving in the military.
Yeah, you do. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. You go through life a lot, pretty much, under the assumption that most people don't really even understand or care, that what you've given up or what piece of your life you've given up. And in some cases, it's, some people lose limbs, some people really get jacked up, and, it really takes a lot from other people. And then, you've got guys that have got wounds that, you can't see and they aren't apparent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
it's just, it's nice to hear every once in a while. I don't try to showboat it, and to everyone, if they ask me, I'll tell them. But I keep most of it to myself. I'll be like, yeah, I was infantry, blah 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 blah, this that. But it's kind of cool,
Well, I want to thank you for talking, a little bit about that, about your PTSD, about your, dealing with the depression and the anxiety. And I know it's hard for you to talk about it, and especially we're talking on a podcast that all kinds of people are going to be listening to.
Yeah, I know. So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to talk about that or that or that, Yeah. And you know most of it, so.
Yeah, I do. And I'm like I said, I'm just proud that you did make it home safely and in one piece. And, you didn't bring any of those camel spiders home with you.
I should have, man.
Those things were crazy.
Those things are gangster, man. And they're like lightning. Like you don't even understand how fast the camel spider is. Them damn things, man. They just,
and they're huge.
Yeah, they're freaking insanely huge. And
as big as a chihuahua.
I think some of the best times I ever had in my entire life were finding people that were scared of camel spiders and locking them in a room with one for for a little bit, them banging on the doors, and you know what I mean, and you won't let them out. So then you go in there and they're like on top of they've got everything stacked up in the room, and they're standing on top of it with like whatever the heck they can hit a dang camel.
So I'm sure that didn't help with their PTSD.
No, it was just
kind of like the guy that choked you out. I'm sure that didn't help with your PTSD.
No, not at all. No, I don't think that really gave me too much. I think it's more or less just that, especially with a lot of guys, it's just the thought, and it's just going out every single day knowing that, it really is. It's like sacking up and, rolling outside the wire and going, hey, today my number's my number. It's just that thought and just that mentality of everyone around you, you know what I mean, of having to watch everything around you. And when stuff happens and stuff, it just keeps building up and building up and building up to the point where, it just changes you as a person. And it's like something that's never ever going to go away. You're always going to have it for the rest of your life. You got to kind of figure out a way to cope with it. And, some people, like I was saying earlier, if you get in a car wreck or something like that, you know what I mean, you can get past that and eventually, be all right. It might affect your entire life, but, the reason why it sticks with younger soldiers, man, they're young, their brains are still developing, and they have so many traumas over such a long period of time. It just changes them, and it makes them always anxious. It makes them always alert, always up, up at a level that's just over the top. And for a lot of people, you just can't keep operating at that level.
Well, yeah, they're all 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, we're a little bit older than kids, and You know what I mean? We don't know what the world's really like that. And then, you know, we basically get shaped into this, you know. Our brains get shaped into
that kind of trauma too.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't really recognize it until, you know, you might recognize it right away, but most of the time you don't really recognize it until you get home, and then you just see, like, you know, that you're always anxious and you can't relax, and it's just, you know what I mean, and you can't get past it, and everything reminds you of this or that, or, you know what I mean, every time you hear a loud noise you're freaking hitting the ground, you know. I've
noticed that a couple of times. That's happened with you.
You know, and it's, I don't know, it's really hard to live with. It really is, and it's one of them things, man. It just.
Well, you're doing good, and I've noticed that you are doing good, and you're doing better, and you're finding ways to deal with with that. Like I said, with the guitar playing and the piano playing, and
I'm up in my room like all day, every day playing that shit.
Yeah,
all the time,
all day long.
Well, you know what I mean. And I was just talking with a guy earlier, and he was telling me that I actually need to get out and do more shit. So, gotta kind of work on that. You know what I mean? He was telling me if you spend too much time, you know, focusing in those kind of areas and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You start becoming less social and more, you know, more secluded in the
more of a recluse.
Yeah,
more.
And the harder it is eventually to get out and, you know, be active with society. So,
well, then I guess we got to get you out more.
Yeah, I've got to kind of start, you know, focusing on getting, you know, changing what I can change for right now anyways, getting moved on. But right now that's mainly what I do. Wake up with it. But it's pretty cool, huh? I'm starting to pick up the piano pretty quick.
Yeah, you sure did. And in like a few months you were jamming on that piano with no problems. Anyways, I want to thank you, son, for talking with us about this and your experiences over there. And I'm sure we could sit here and talk another hour or so about it and just keep going, but we don't have that time frame on here for this podcast. So people they probably don't want to hear our voice anymore. They're like, okay, we're done listening to you. It's been like,
wow, it's that long. That's the easiest show I've ever done. Shoot.
I didn't hardly do any talking. Hey, I want to remind you guys once again to go to my website. It's laughingwithcancerpodcast.com. Make sure you go to iTunes, give me a review, and vote on podcastland.com for sure. Vote, yes.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, son. We'll talk to you later. He's getting out of here. He's been my part-time co-host for the last couple of shows, and I really appreciate it because it makes it a lot easier to sit here and not have to talk to myself. And as you could tell, he was doing most of the talking about that. But like I said, I am very proud of him, and I am glad that he made it home safe. But yeah, being a gunner, being a soldier in Iraq, a gunner, I was worried about him so much every day. His mother and I both worried about him because they're aiming for him. He's the guy up on top of the tank. He's the guy that they got their scopes on, you know. And he said a couple of times he heard bullets whiz past his head. So that's got to be scary. That's just got to be scary. So anyways, like I was saying, if you have any questions or any comments, make sure you email me at laughingwithcancer@gmail.com. And let me know what you think. Give me some info. If you have any problems with depression, PTSD, stress, anxiety, anything like that, let me know how you deal with it, how you cope with it. And you know, I'll get back with you. Just email me. I'm on Stitcher. Like I said, iTunes. I'm on podcastland.com. I'm everywhere. I'm like the wind, baby. I am everywhere. And with that, my friends, I want to tell you to have a wonderful, what month is it? It's March?
March. Yeah.
March, yes. It's the end of March. Have a wonderful April. Happy 10-year anniversary to Keith and the Girl. They've been podcasting for 10 years, and they are awesome. That's keithandthegirl.com. Make sure you check them out. Like I said, 10 years. Congratulations, Keith and Chemda. On a sad note, I do want to say a friend of my twins, Tyler Sanders, passed away. and he was a good kid, and he was close to the twins. Same age. I think he was 21, 22. Too young to go. And so I just want to say rest in peace, Tyler, and to his family. You know, I know it's going to be hard, and but our thoughts are with you guys for sure. So with that said, my friends, what else do we have to say? Anything else? No? We good? I think we're good. I'm going to have to go pick up Caitlin here in a little bit.
Taking my Mickeys, I'm good.
All right, my friends.
Hope nobody from, never mind.
Yeah.
A Mickey for me is a lemonade.
There you go, lemonade. Lemonade. That cool, refreshing drink. Yes. So, I can't believe it's already 50 minutes that we've been jabbering on here. That's the longest one we've done, and no notes, no nothing. Just let you talk. I just let you jabber. So that's good.
Well, stories always take the longest, man.
Yeah.
I didn't even get into any detail either.
I know. Like I said, if you would have gotten into detail about some of the stuff, we'd have been here for a long time. And I think my phone just dinged. So that's time to go. That's our cue to go, my friends. So with that said, peace, love, and stay laughing.
Laughing with Cancer Podcast.com